mic's in the way here. Oh, other way, right?
I usually flip it like this.
Smart.
I just clip it, but you can use the metal if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
Black shirt.
Here we are.
Dude! I love doing this video out in nature. We just went on a nice walk.
Yeah.
I was thinking, it's like, how do I make the content that I'm putting out more real? So I've been doing this daily video series, 100 days of just talking directly to the camera, to the audience in a way that I never have before, as a way to just make content more real.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, why don't we do a conversation?
Yeah.
In nature too.
Well, I think it's also important to note about you doing that series is you have, and we've talked about this so many times, you have spent so much time in your career creating a container for others to share. And now it's a moment for you to flip the microphone at a very pivotal time in your life, and you're starting to share just like where you're at and what you're going through. And I think that's probably also where I think a lot of this, like, I just want to create real stuff, and that's what you're doing through the series.
Yeah. It's like I spend so much time focusing on other people, focusing on the guest, and subconsciously and consciously at times putting the guest as the focus. And I think there's a time and place for that. And I think it's important to do, to make the other person the focus.
Yeah. I've been on you about this for maybe the last 6 months, but I really do think even when you do get back into some capacity of the podcast, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, once a month, I think maybe this would be the moment where it's like opening the door for who you are and like the journey you're on. I think it's pivotal that not only do you create the container for these guests, but you find a way to create a container for yourself, whether that's a solo pod, whether that's bringing on friends that want to create the container for you to speak. But I don't know what it looks like, but I'm telling you, I think that's where people want to hear the guests, but they really want to hear Danny Miranda.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what that's going to look like, but I think it'll be powerful when the time comes and if it feels right. Or maybe this series just ends up being your YouTube series and what you're posting. Maybe that's just the channel and people get their daily dose of Danny through it, and then they go to the pod when they want to drop into the conversations that you're having.
Yeah. I don't know how it's going to actually unfold, and I think that's the fun part of doing what we do.
Yeah.
Is just making it up on the fly.
Yeah.
And having fun with that.
How beautiful is it that we've manifested a life where this is the work. Like it's 4:30 on a Tuesday, almost 5:15, and we're just walking through nature, listening to the noise. It's peaceful, man. It's beautiful.
Yeah. How do you manifest this?
It's just 8 years in the making, man. You know, like I told you about the workshop I hosted earlier today, and the whole structure of the workshop is like, this is what we're gonna talk about, but here's, my story of how I got here, and then I'll give you all the value so you know I'm speaking from experience. And it really, to get me to this point 8 years later, it's just a simple decision of I am going to create and live a life by my own terms, and I'm gonna do what's necessary in the in-between to make that happen. Whether it was driving Uber or working for Liquid IV, it was relentless, like, I will find a way.
Yeah.
And I pinch myself. Even the roller coaster moments where your emotional highs, emotional lows, as you know, as being an entrepreneur, it's like I would not trade it for the world than to be right here, right now.
Yeah, it's special. The fact that we can just go on a walk on a Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah.
It's really special. This is the dream.
How do you think Danny M shows up on this conversation than Danny M even 4 weeks ago?
Dude, I am, working my way out of the darkest of despairs of my entire life. Deep suffering is no fun.
I know, man. I'm proud of you for sharing it. It's so,
yeah,
you can feel it.
Yeah, I went through a breakup that rocked my world. And, I've come to realize the suffering is when we're trying to get something from someone before giving it to ourselves. And I've just felt so lost, without direction, feeling like the thing that I knew for sure was incorrect. So what else is incorrect in my own life? What else don't I know? And so it kind of felt like, for a while, me grasping for some semblance of this is true. And I think I've started to work my way out of it, but it's still a process that I'm dealing with for sure.
Yeah.
To this day, maybe like 6 weeks later.
I've been able to see you probably at least 4 out of the last 6 weeks, and it's remarkable. Like, I don't want to see you going through this, but it's remarkable to see even a week later, like that 1%, like I'm in a better headspace, this is happening, and the next week, now these things are starting to happen. Like it's, I've been able to see firsthand like the heartbreak from a week by week perspective, and I know there's a lot that's happening off camera, off when you're alone, and I mean, it's powerful to see this transformation happen for you, and knowing that you will laugh at these moments. You will have so much more gratitude for this at some point. It's just being in it. It's just it's I wish it upon no one.
Yeah, you've dealt with something like this, right?
Yeah, I mean, when Kay and I, we had a 6 to 8 week break, and it was different in its own context, but it was exactly that. Just a lot of question marks, a lot of deep work, a lot of looking in the mirror, asking myself questions about who I am, and
the running thoughts, man. You know?
It's a hamster wheel, man.
Yeah.
I remember one time, this was right when we were starting to get back together, where I changed the phone background on my phone to a picture of me when I was like 6 years young. And we were just starting to rebuild, but there was still a lot of tough conversations. And I remember having a tough conversation. I got home and I looked at this photo and I just started breaking down in tears, because I literally just remember laying in my bed like, how could this little boy hurt someone the way that I did? And I had to like look at that younger version and talk to myself and have empathy and compassion, and yeah, it was its own journey, man.
Yeah, that's a hard thing, I think, showing up as a version of yourself that you're not proud of, that I think virtually every human being will go through at some point.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you give yourself grace when you have a standard for yourself and you don't meet it?
Totally.
And it's so clear. And I could see why people hold things against themselves for years.
Yeah.
Because I could.
Yeah.
I know that doesn't serve me. But I know there's some part in me that is capable of holding a grudge against myself.
Totally. But you know the path through is leaning into it and just shining light on it.
Yeah.
Eventually, you're going to have to deal with the reality of whatever it is. So it's like you either keep pushing it and pushing it away, or it's like, I'm going to shine light on this thing, and I'm going to start to like marinate it, give love to it, and find a way to rebuild it.
Yeah. Fuck, man, it's so hard.
It is.
It's so hard.
Because it's the only solution is time. There's no way to speed it up. It's not like you can hop in a time machine and fast forward 6 weeks and then you're like, oh yeah, I feel 10 times better than I did when this happened.
And the waves of it. It's like, it's like one moment everything's fine.
Yeah.
Next moment it's like I could cry.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, how do you deal with that? Must be when, people lose a loved one.
Yeah, the last loved one I've lost was an uncle of mine when I was in high school, and even then, God, I was just 16 years young, so just trying to even think about, I didn't even have the tools or the understanding of how to handle that type of situation. But I always, in any of these types of moments, heartbreak, loss, job change, whatever, I always tell myself, go back to the basics.
Yes.
And
that saved me.
When I was at the pool this weekend, I heard a woman on the phone next to me coaching her friend. And she was just, I don't know what the context was, but she was just like, maybe it was 2 weekends ago, but she was like, you just got to get out and walk, and make sure you're drinking your water, and make sure you're eating good foods. And I was like, it's so true. I don't know what this woman's going through, but that's what she needs. It's just like, can you check off the basics?
Yeah.
To give you some foundation. And I feel like that's what you've been doing over the last 6 weeks, is from a place of no basics to now like 75 hard.
Yep.
We're working out.
Meditating.
We're meditating.
Every day.
We're doing the right things.
Yeah. It's so wild. It's so wild to go from a place of, I don't know what's true, I don't know, but like you do know what's true.
Mm-hmm.
Like you do know like working out is always good for you.
Yeah.
You do know meditating is always good for you.
Yeah.
You do know that eating foods that are whole foods that your grandparents would have ate is always good for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in that state, I didn't want to know that to be true. I didn't want to feel better.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't feel like I deserved to feel better.
And so where does the mind go? It wants to lean into all the toxic dopamines,
Right.
all the wrong things,
Right.
the things that have not even been on your radar for years or even on your
Correct.
like, and that's just where the mind goes. Like,
Bro, the amount of shitty food I ate, like, it's just like, it's like an energy field. Like when you're in that state, it just, man, I would not wish that on anyone.
there's what I think really important to know right now for you is like, okay, you just said you went through that phase where you're eating a lot of shitty food and now you're coming out the other side. This is just a few weeks later. Like, unfortunately, there may be someone that is hearing this that has been locked in that for 6 months, a year,
True.
3 years, you know, like
True.
they don't see the path. They don't have the environment. They don't have anyone to lean on other than maybe this singular conversation where like light bulb, okay, Danny did this in 6 weeks. Maybe I should take that one step to eating a better diet.
You know, that's so true. And I think I'm so grateful that every conversation I have at least one conversation every day that is deep, that fuels me, that where I feel seen and heard. And I know that wasn't always the case for me. And I know that many, 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 many people don't have that. And so I think that really has been the underlying saving grace behind it all, is like seeing how great my friends are and seeing how, if you want it, you can make the podcast guests or the podcast you listen to or the YouTube videos you watch your friends.
Totally.
Right?
Also,
until you see that in your reality.
Yeah. I also want to say I think it's beautiful that you are such a giver. And I feel like this has been a moment where people have seen it as an opportunity to finally, I don't want to say give for you, but to be there for you.
Yeah.
Because you're always just like giving someone a platform to speak on. You are creating experiences for men in an intimate setting. You're creating the run club. Like, you're always giving to other people. And I think this has been a moment, I'm sure, for your close friends or people that, you know, you've had one-off conversations with where they're so happy to carve out the time to be hopefully of value because they just see how much you give and they want to give that same love back.
I appreciate that. I mean, I think that's when you really see your impact, when things fall apart. And I really do appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
I felt that deeply. Yeah, thank you for being there for me, man. I really do appreciate it. Every Tuesday, we have a meeting. That's what this is. It was on Zoom, but then we figured, why not have it be in person?
In person.
And it's been really impactful. Just to have you as a friend, just to have you as a rock, you know, somebody who's always there for me and always willing to hear it and give me support. It really has gone a long way.
I mean, if I've been any help in this journey the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks, like, I'm grateful to be a part of it. And different context, but also the same of like, I saw what you were going through and it just brought me back to where I was 16, 18 months ago. And knowing what I know now is just like, I've respected that you need space, you need time, you need to come to your own realizations. I'm not here to tell you what you can or can't do or the way you should think, but I've just tried to be gentle and pepper in perspectives that I wish I was giving to that version of myself when I was going through the breakup. And yeah, I have so much love for you and gratitude for you, even since moving to Austin, and just our relationship just completely expanded. I don't want to see you go through what you go through, but at the same time, I know this will put you in a position where you're actually going to be able to help people.
Yeah.
I told you Kate's friend is staying with us, and she sent this beautiful voice memo to Kate, and I'll just share because I know she wouldn't mind. But she said, "Your mess has become your message."
Damn.
And I feel like for you,
Damn.
I feel like that's what you're going through right now. Is
Oh.
the mess will become the message.
Yeah.
It's poetic.
Damn.
Not my words. Not my words. Don't cut the
good.
clip and think it was Bobby Hobart. It wasn't me.
Bobby Hobart has got some bars.
She said that. I said, "Can you play
Wow.
that back?" That's
Wow.
that's a bar. The mess becomes the message.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And I know that every period of my life that I've struggled or that's been very difficult for me, I've looked back on and been like, that's been so great. And that rerouted me to a place I never would have gone. And so I know intellectually, and I'm starting to feel it more and more every day, but I know intellectually that to be the case, but the feeling of it is actually what we're seeking. And I've started to feel that. But I definitely still have a long ways to go on that, it feels like. So.
Small steps.
Right, 1%.
1%, baby.
1% every day.
Shout out to James Clear, Atomic Habits, baby.
Is that why you got that tattoo, 1%?
Yeah. It just like rang true to me, and I felt like putting it. I never thought I'd have tattoos in my hand, but I felt like it was like a reminder. If I'm typing, if I'm in the gym, if I'm doing anything with my hands, it's that subtle reminder of the small steps. These small interactions, moments are really what are going to cultivate and build.
Yeah, I mean, along the same lines, I've heard Joe Hudson, a guy I've started listening to a lot.
Yeah.
He talked about how he asked the question, how do you make this 10% more loving, or how do you make this 10% more present? And so if you think in those terms, like 1% or 10%, it makes you realize that you just have to tweak something small, and that it often has a bigger than 10% impact if you compound that. So I find that interesting, and I find that as a good cue. It's like, how could I be 10% more loving to myself, right? If I'm just meditating, okay, I could do 75 hard. And when I'm doing 75 hard, it's like, okay, how could I be 10% more loving to myself right now? Well, I could shut my phone off at a certain time, or I could start doing bioenergetics, which I've been wanting to do. So it's like, yeah, I think asking that question makes you have tremendous progress.
Yeah,
how
and
can
it's
I be 10% better,
and then
or 1%?
it's leveling you up every step of the way.
Yeah.
So then your new base level is exponential different 75 days later, because you've worked out twice a day, you've been eating good, you've been feeding yourself good thoughts. So now that 10%, yeah, it's compounded.
It's so real. It's
Yeah.
it sounds fake. Like it sounds like it's but I've found it to be very true in my own life, and I know that at 75 days from now, on day 11 of 75 hard, 60 something days from, I know I'm not going to be 10% better as a human being. I'll probably be like 500% more energy.
Yeah. You hit day 75,
Yeah.
you finish the day,
Yeah.
it's the evening, you've checked off every box.
Yeah.
You come back to this video, what do you want to say to yourself?
Thank you for following through on your word, because when you have nothing, when it feels like you have nothing, your word and following through on your word is something that you can hold your hat on, and you can be happy with yourself if you follow the commitments that you say you're going to do. And there have been many times in my life where I haven't done that, and many times when I have, and it just feels a lot better when I do what I say I'm going to do. And when all else is taken away, at least I can do that. So.
Yeah. I think you tweeted it like you're rebuilding the trust within yourself or something like that, and I was like, that's so true. Like,
yes.
Can you build the trust within yourself to follow through on the things that are important to you, or the basics, or whatever that looks like?
Yeah, and that's why doing this daily video has built so much trust in myself, because I've showed up for myself even when I didn't want to. And that feeling is so special, because I'm like, I am in control about whether or not I post a video today. I don't have to book a guest. I don't have to.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping me from just saying how I'm feeling every day.
Yeah.
And then to talk to people who have like gone through a video or two, or watching the series, it's like, wow, like, because I'm speaking from my heart, people are feeling it in their heart. And I love that I'm not trying to make it about topics or ideas, or just like, this is just the truth of how I'm feeling. If I add something in that is helping me, great, but my purpose is to just share from the heart.
People can feel that.
Yeah.
It's the unscripted, not like, you might have an idea of what you want to talk about, and you go in and you just rip, and it's just so authentic that people can feel it.
Yeah.
I remember, and I shared this with you, like, when I was going through something 2 months ago, and I posted just like right off the rip in my bed, and I had the most interaction. I had the most interaction on the video, and for the amount of views and the interaction, it was 1,000x compared to all my other videos, and I was like, it's because it's so real.
Yeah, people want real shit.
Yeah. So
you're gonna post a reel, you got to do it again.
Yeah,
like just the truth.
I pepper them, and when I'm like, the goal isn't to post to get that type of attention, but it's just like when I feel something really captivate me, then I post it. And a lot of times it's just in stories because it's like the day-to-day stuff, but I try to incorporate more into the feed because it's there forever, and I don't want people to think like, oh, he's posting the story because it's gone in 24. Like, so I go through my phases with it.
Yeah, I also want to thank you, dude, for being so present. I think that's like, your attention is so present, you yourself, and it's so noticeable and it's so impactful to me.
Thank you. I really appreciate that because it's been a work in progress, and I think the credit goes to meditation over these years and helping me just like, I always tell people, me doing the 20 minutes is not the success. It's how it's making me feel outside of that. And, people see like this whole, like I preach intentional with your time and all that, but like I'm serious. Like
you're living it.
I'm really living it. Like I don't take it lightly, like carving out time, and whether it's being with you or being with Kate or jumping on a call for business, like there's a million other things I could be doing. And if I'm going to be doing that thing, I want it to be something that I'm excited to be there for. And so it's like when I'm in the thing, I don't want to see my phone. I don't want to like feel the notification. So as much as I like post and share, like I think people would be blown away with how present I really am on a day-to-day, like workout, this, that, like, so I appreciate that. It's not just the acknowledgement itself. It's just like a reminder of like, okay, the work is really working.
Yes.
Because the goal is to really just have that moment, each moment along the way, so that every moment feels the same. Just getting on the airplane, waking up in the morning, working out, being here, it's all the same, man. It really is. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I think you got to run. It's 5:45.
Yeah,
back to your car.
Any last thoughts for this?
Last
summary?
Thoughts. I love doing this. Could have been 3 hours, I think. Like, we could do this shit all day.
The nature series is coming.
Let us know if you want some more of this. Where should people connect with you further?
I'm sure it'll be tagged up. Just BobbyHobert.com. That's you'll find all the socials from there. BobbyHobert.com.
Anything in particular you are focusing on? Your attention or your time these days?
Building community, building my relationship, building my business, and really just trying to make sure that I'm not neglecting anything important.
Love, friends, and money. Love it.
The trifecta.
The trifecta.
Yeah.
Seeing your family this weekend too, or
Can't
this
wait,
next
tomorrow.
week. So
Yeah.
got to add the family to the mix.
Yeah.
Incredible. Dude,
Yeah.
thank you so much for doing
bro.
this. You're
Love
a
you,
fucking
man.
man. Love you too.
Yo, it's crazy, bro. Right when I locked eyes with you, I just dropped in, bro. Right before you even started talking, I could just feel it.
Yep.